Hello, welcome to Outland Woodworks. My name is Shane, and today we're going to be looking at installing the Deluxe T-square fence on the Harvey Alpha table saw. Let's get to it. Okay, so at this stage in the build, and if you've been following along, if not, welcome. Otherwise, check back on the channel. Pretty much the whole video on every part we've put on so far is there. This is the next step, which is installing the fence guide on here. Now, so far, we haven't done any cleaning. I'm kind of relying on the factory oil and dirt and grime to kind of protect everything while I get my grubby paws all over it. However, at this point, since we're going to be putting the fence down on these rails, I would really rather not gum those rails up immediately. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to need some denatured alcohol. You can pick that up at your local hardware store. A clean rag. Some wax. We're going to be using Johnson's paste wax. You can use whatever your preferred wax is. Opener for that, and a pad that I have dedicated to doing metal surfaces. So essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my clean rag, I'm going to put a little bit of denatured alcohol on it. I'm not going to go crazy, I'm not going to let it sit because it will damage the finish on there if you do that. And you know, you do this at your own risk. So I'm going to do that real quick, and when we come back, we'll look at opening the box up and installing that. All right, so we've got our rails all cleaned up and a light coat of wax on them. Didn't go too crazy with it. Looks like they are powder coated, so I'm sure it will last plenty long enough just for a little added security. So now we're going to open up the box and see what we got. So in the box, how it comes packaged. We're going to take it out. I'm going to go ahead and just set it right here for the moment. A knob, Allen wrench. Looks to be it in there. We'll go ahead and set our throat plate on there so it's not open. This is pretty intuitive. Put the knob on. I say intuitive as I struggle to get it started. Now they did come up with a new fence system for this, and I'd love to have it, but not at the moment. All right, so the first thing I think we need to adjust is our slop, I guess you would call it. Now, also at this time, you'll want to adjust how parallel it is to your T-slots. Everything should be squared off your blade. Now, I don't have the tool, it should be here tomorrow, to check that, and we will be going through that. But essentially what we want to do is we are going to get a device that measures the distance from here to here on this blade, and we're going to square the table with that blade. Once that is squared, then we're going to square the fence off the T-slot. So everything then should be all square. As far as any other installation goes, that's pretty much the whole thing. Take it out, you put it on. Now there will be some adjustments. You will adjust your height here and here with the provided Allen wrench. We'll loosen these nuts and adjust it. Same goes for these, and this will adjust your left and right. You can do some adjustment on your height off the bed of the table. It also allows you to loosen it so you can slide this off and switch to a high fence. Right now it's in a low fence configuration. And actually, for the sake of doing it, and I've never done it, and if you can see there, there's a bar that this slides into. Here for the low fence, here for the high fence. We're going to go switch over to the high fence. Now I am lifting on it so I don't drag it across the table. So I'm going to get this pretty flush up here. For now, I'm just lifting it all the way up, and I'm going to snug these bolts up. It's super smooth. It's very little effort. And this is how we'll lock it. They will also have you put the tape on, which is sitting over here, and I'll show it to you just so you can see it. It's a 3M tape. And we will be putting that on, but first I want to get everything squared up so that I make sure when I put it on is right where I want it. Now, one interesting side note here, when you're setting all this up, your tape measure and everything, right now I have a thin kerf blade on here. Now the problem, or not necessarily the problem, but the challenge in going from full kerf to thin kerf, and even sometimes between brands, is you're going to have a different tooth thickness. Because the arbor is on this side, any change in thickness is going to go against your measurements. So let's say I use this blade, which is a thin kerf blade for setup, and I don't remember the exact kerf off the top of my head, but it is a thin kerf. And I set my ruler up for this blade. When I put a full kerf on there, I'm going to be short. So what can you do about that? Pay attention. I mean, other than that, my solution for that is getting the Wixie digital readout. I can re-zero it whenever I change out blades to make sure I'm right where I want to be. You really don't need to do that. You just need to be mindful of what kerf you start from. You might even want to, since full kerf is probably what you use most commonly, do it off a full kerf, whatever brand that you commonly use. And then just know when you switch to a thin kerf, you're going to be a little bit long, but it's far better to be a little long than a little short. Yes, you heard that from me. So that's going to pretty much wrap this up. We will do a video on squaring all this up, and that'll include squaring up the fence and all that goodness. But if you want to see this whole build, you can check on the channel. It all should be there. Other than that, that pretty much wraps it up for now. We still got a long way to go, so I hope to see you in the future. If you learned anything, thought this was helpful, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing, maybe share it with somebody that might like to see it. And we'll catch you next time. Thanks.